Right, in today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into how exactly you can make your first $10 million online. And all of this information is extracted from William Brown, who is a very successful entrepreneur who sold his own company for multi-millions of dollars. And the way this video is going to go is very simple. We're going to be breaking down these 5 steps. So first and foremost, we need to identify the type of niche and ideal client that we're actually dealing with. And then from then on, we can transition to an effective prospect acquisition strategy. From then on, we can move on to our sales process and identify different sales strategies. From there, we can build a sustainable client relationship. And then from there, we can focus on the big boy, scaling your business with effective efficiencies. Right, and the way he opens up this chapter is by giving you a list of prompts that you can go over, especially if you're in the beginning stages of starting your business. You have to ask yourself questions like, who exactly are you helping? How exactly are you going to help them? What skills or talent do you possess that these individuals can actually benefit from? And by asking yourself these questions, you can begin to gather information that will help you at least identify where you should be focusing your area, especially in the beginning stages. Honestly, what really surprised me next is that he's actually coached people from so many different niches, and he helps them refine their different offers to actually present to the world online and to their audience specifically. Let me just give you a list of the different businesses that he's helped establish. And it's amazing that some people are able to pick up these talents and actually find an audience that they're willing to teach this to. I mean, how to trade financial markets, that's an extremely valuable and talented skill to have that you can easily teach other people. So look, the main point that he's actually trying to drive home is that if you have a specific skill or a talent, you can actually use that by packaging it up and selling it to your audience, whether that be through a coaching program, an online course, a one-to-one mentorship. There's many different ways in which you can do that. But then of course, some people ask the question, what happens if you don't have a skill or a talent? And the answer is quite simple. You learn one. And there are many ways you can do this, right? So for example, you could go on Udemy, you could go on Coursera, you could join a coaching program and basically learn a high income skill that you can then teach to other people. Look, and I know that it's easier said than done, and you might still feel like you don't have a skill or talent to offer to the marketplace, but hear me when I say this. We've seen a massive movement in the build-ups of personal brands, right? Personal brands are essentially taking over. And some people who do want to build big personal brands often ask the question, what if I don't have anything to offer people? And I heard a very powerful quote around this, and it said that if you don't know what your brand is, document your journey and your journey will become the brand. Essentially, you need to walk that path yourself and document this through Instagram Reels or YouTube. You can choose whatever platform you want. But through documentation, a few things are going to happen. Number one, your ideal client or avatar is going to see that you've actually walked this path before and you've solved the specific problem that they're dealing with. And they're going to reach out to you and ask for help. There in itself as a customer, you have someone who's reached out to you and asked for help. There in itself is something, you could package up an offer and sell it to them. But essentially, at the end of the day, you've walked the path yourself. And in doing so, you can inspire others to do the same. And to solidify my point even further, there are 3 pillars of pain in which William Brown actually speaks about. And these 3 pillars are essentially what we would call the most profitable niches, right? And those are your health, wealth, and relationships. So let's speak about relationships. People will always want to know how they can find a better partner or how they can sustain a marriage. And this is where dating coaches come in and, people who've actually solved problems within their own marriages. Let's talk about health, for example. People always want to know how to get in better shape, right? This is why the fitness is such a huge movement right now. People want to know how to get in good shape and, just present themselves in the best way possible. And the last is, of course, wealth. People always want to find out how to make more money online or how they can at least generate passive income in a way that's going to help them live their dream life. So people will always pay for these kind of things. For the next section, we're going to be discussing different effective prospecting acquisition strategies. And the main 2 strategies in which we're going to be discussing is the organic, which is essentially you creating pieces of content and people becoming interested in the type of services that you're offering. And then of course we've got the paid ads, which focuses more on your Instagram ads, your Facebook ads, and actually paying to acquire more customers. And now that you've picked that one platform in which you're going to go all in on, so say for example you picked LinkedIn. So for the case of this example, let's say you wrote a LinkedIn post about how to make an additional $5,000 with copywriting. your ideal avatar or client is out there, and it's someone who's looking to build their skill sets around copywriting, and they've seen your post, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to message you directly and ask for your help, or they're going to go onto your profile and see if you have a website or any page that speaks more about the type of services in which you offer. And when that happens, they reach out to you. You have a little bit of a proof of concept, not entirely, but you have a little bit of a proof of concept. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well then when's the right time to start selling or start building a product? And one thing that William Brown emphasizes more than anything is that you need to sell before you buy. You can't say that you have a business if you have no customers. You need a customer first, and then you can say you have a business. And to quickly discuss paid ads, I personally think this is a game in which where the experts play, because when you still new and your business is still up and coming, you don't exactly have the best strategies for paid ads. So say for example, you spend $10, $1,000, $10,000. You're not exactly sure how to get the best return on your ad spend. So that's why it's always easier to work with an expert who has experience with paid ads, and they can help you generate a return on your ad spend a lot quicker than if you were able to do it on your own. So I highly suggest that you do a little bit more research about paid ads, but work with someone who knows what they're doing in order to accelerate your growth. For the next section, we're going to be discussing the different sales processes that William Brown recommends, and there are 5 main ones that he talks about. Firstly, of course, we've got the front-end online course, and this is just simply a collection of videos laid out in a structure that takes a person from, a keyword here is wanting an outcome, to actually having that said outcome. So for example, this can be someone coming to you and saying, I want a 6-pack, right? So they wanted the 6-pack, and it's your job to actually ensure that they actually have the 6-pack by providing them with the right nutrition plan, the right exercises in the gym, and so forth. Next, we have an upsell or a downsell. And quite simply, an upsell is an extra that you offer your customer. So for example, this is something that can be as simple as a mastermind. Oftentimes you see people hosting masterminds in Dubai, or hosting a mastermind in Miami, and just it's a nice way to keep your customers involved with the business. And on the opposite end, you've got a downsell, which is actually an extra that you offer people who decide not to buy your primary product, but 4 is your lead magnet, right? These are typically your ebooks, your audiobooks, your free trials, once of consultation. You'll see this oftentimes that people will put this on their Instagram, a cheat sheet and PDF as well. And the reason people do that is to try and collect an email address, because with an email address, that can then lead to your newsletter. And once you have customers in your newsletter, it's a lot easier for them to, it's just a lot easier for you to upsell at a much later stage, because they're in your email sequence, they get value from you every week. And once they feel like they're ready to take action, they can do so. If you actually go through the book, he'll give you a much more in-depth explanation about all the sales funnels and the sales processes. I can't get through all of it in this particular video, but feel free to actually get the book and go through those structures, because he breaks it down in pure depth so that it's easy for anyone to understand. Next section that we're going to discuss is actually building sustainable client relationships. But before we do that, it's important that we have to take a step back, because, as William Brown always says, you can't essentially build a product without selling it first. The reason being is because you need to make sure that there's actual demand for what you're offering. He says that one of the biggest problems that people have in business is that they build a product and they build a service before people actually validate that thing that you're trying to sell. So in other words, if there's no demand and people don't actually want what you're buying, no one's going to buy it. Right, cool. So let's say you're now in a scenario where people want the exact thing that you have to offer, but you start panicking, you start thinking, I haven't designed a course, I haven't designed a program or a software or anything that can actually help these people. It's okay. Okay, we take baby steps, and the very first thing that you need to do that's recommended by William is to work with these clients one-to-one. This can be through video calls or through Zoom calls. And the whole point is that you work with these clients one-to-one so that they can give you feedback and you can see what works, what doesn't work. And the best way to do this, let's say you're doing a course, for example, is to split it up into different sections, right? So very commonly, people will always do mindset training first, and then they dive into the core aspects of the program. And in doing so, your customers can tell you then, I don't think this section is necessary, or I think you should add this, or maybe you can integrate this into the software, or take this out of the software because it's making the user experience difficult. And through doing that, you're validating your offer more and more, and you're building on that relationship. And this is important because once those customers see success, you can use this as a testimonial. And not only that, you can actually have a proven concept. And once you have a proven concept, you know that this is something that's going to do well upon your first initial launch. And it's during this phase in which you can actually experiment with different pricing structures. But I'm assuming, you guys want to make some money. We're not charging low ticket. You're going to charge high ticket here. So with those one-on-one clients that you have, you can basically experiment with different pricing points. And as you onboard new clients, you can tell them the new price and see how they react. And it's just about experimenting with what's best suited for the value that you're providing to the marketplace or to your ideal client or avatar. So this is all just an experimental phase, but once you've solidified your pricing point, you stick to it or you increase, and then from then on, you can see how the market reacts. The fifth and final section is, of course, scaling your business with efficiency. Look, I can't go into every single strategy that he breaks down. Please just pick up the book and go through these strategies because he lists so many. But out of the ones that I read, the ones that I am very comfortable speaking about is basically automation and email sequences. So to cover automation, essentially, when you're onboarding more and more clients, right, and you still have to focus on content, you still have to focus on fulfillment and so forth, it is good to delegate those tasks to people who can do a better job than you. For obvious reasons, of course. So if you are focusing on creating more pieces of content to try and increase the amount of leads that are coming in organically, you would need someone who's going to cover the fulfillment part. You would need a sales rep who's going to take the sales calls and actually convert those interested prospects into actual customers. So focusing on automation is one good way to scale, but that's of course like once you have good cash coming into the business. The other method that he speaks about is definitely going into email sequences, and he lists things that you should do and things that you shouldn't do. So to cover that even further, I highly suggest that you guys do pick up the book. I know I've said it time and time again, but the strategies that he lists out are so valuable that they can save you a lot of time and a lot of energy, and you can actually focus on putting in your effort into things that are actually going to move the needle within your business. So what are my final thoughts in the book? Look, I have read this book twice now and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The reason I chose to pick up William Brown's book specifically was because unlike a lot of online gurus that you see, he actually sold his company and he sold it to a private equity firm for millions of dollars. You'll have to go into his channel and just basically explore a bit more. But the fact that he sold his company and he's worked with a lot of the top influencers, which I follow, your Mike Thurstons, your Jack Hopkins, and he had mentors such as Sam Ovens, Alex Becker. These are people who have established a well online presence. So the knowledge that he gained from them, he basically teaches his one-to-one clients how to implement those strategies. So I highly suggest that you guys pick up this book. I've enjoyed reading it, and I really do hope you take the time to go out and check out his YouTube channel and just try and see if you can gain a thing or two. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share the video. Take care, guys.